All right, here's the image you sent me, and I don't know if maybe the wrong image got sent because this one looks a little bit different than the one that you posted online. This one's actually a little bit out of focus, and so I'm wondering if you sent me the wrong one, but I wanted to record the video for you just because I said I would. But I just want you to know these steps would be the same steps that you would take, but you can see here when I zoom in, this one's a little out of focus, but you would still take the same steps. Even though this one's a little out of focus, you can take the same steps on the right image that is in focus. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is a raw image, so it's opening up in Camera Raw. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just do the little white balance thing here with the eyedropper tool, and that'll just help kind of give this a good white balance to start. This is slightly underexposed, so I'm going to bump up the exposure just a tiny bit. And I'm also going to bump up the highlights a tiny bit. We don't want to wash out the image, but this is just going to give us a good base for starting. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and open the image, and that's going to open up this image in Photoshop. And now we can start to run our actions on it. So the first thing I notice with this image, let's zoom in here, just specifically here on the silver. The first thing I notice is that there's a little bit of there's some red and some yellow cast here in the image. So we want to get rid of those, and we can do that really easily. First, we're going to play Bye Bye Yellow. We're going to go ahead and brush over the silver areas with our brush. You want to make sure that you're brushing over the mask and that you're using white. You always use white to reveal and black to conceal. So we're going to use white over this, and you can see that that's starting to get rid of those color casts that are here in our silver. And this was caused likely from a reflection, maybe from light that you had in your house, or because like if you have like warm light bulbs, they kind of reflect yellow. Or it may be a reflection from something that you're wearing. So now that we've gotten rid of that, you can see that there's still a little bit of a red color cast as well. And we are going to go ahead and we're going to play Bye Bye Red. So now when we play Bye Bye Red, you do the exact same thing. So we're going to brush over this, and you can see that that's going to get rid of the rest of the color cast here. And it's going to make our silver look nice and silver. And you do want to be careful because your beads are actually red, so if I brush over those beads, it's going to get rid of the red color in the beads, which we don't want to do that. But if you do happen to do that, you can just, you can see over here in the swatches, they're white and black, and we can switch between white and black by pressing X on our keyboard. So now if I press X, it's going to make my brush color black, and so now when I paint over that mask with black, it's going to bring back that red color. So I'm going to switch back to white and just go over the rest of these little color cast here. And that looks pretty good. Let me zoom out so you can see that the color it's much more silver. And you can also see here, when I turn this off and on, it got rid of that color cast. Now I'm going to work on the background and getting this background a little brighter. So I'm going to play an action called Pop Whites. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And then it's going to tell you to use the white point eyedropper to click on the white area. So you're going to use this white point eyedropper, this one right here. You're going to just click on the white area, and this is going to kind of pop out the whites, and it's going to balance the light of the image a little bit. So you can see that it just kind of pops things and gives it a little bit more contrast. Then to further whiten the background, I want to go ahead and press white and whites. And we're going to go ahead and now what we're going to do is we're going to use a white brush over the mask, and that's going to reveal more whiteness on your white background. Now you always want to make sure when you're playing an action that the action that you just played is always at the top of the stack. So this one already is, but that's just something I want to point out. So now you can see that I can use this action and I can brush over the white background, and it will further brighten these dark areas. Now you can see when I brush over the red beads here, it doesn't affect it. But if I were to brush over the earrings here, because they're silver and they're closer to they're closer to white, it will start to wash those out. So you do need to be careful. So what I suggest if you're with silver jewelry is that go over the areas of your image, you know, the edges and everything, and get those nice and white. And then zoom in really close on your jewelry. And with a smaller brush, you're going to want to carefully mask around these areas. So then I would carefully mask around these areas, making sure that I'm not going over the jewelry. So you can see here, if I go over the jewelry, it's going to start to really wash that out and make it disappear, which we don't want to do. But again, if I just press X on my keyboard and I switch it back to black, we can go back over that and we can bring back the detail of the jewelry. So you would just want to zoom in, and you can zoom in easily with your keyboard using Command plus if you have a Mac, or Control plus if you have a PC. And then if you wanted to zoom back out, it's Command minus on a Mac or Control minus on a PC. And so that's going to allow you to zoom in and out. You can get close. Making your brush bigger or smaller is easy just using the right and left bracket keys. So if the bracket keys are the keys that look like a half rectangle. So the left bracket key is going to make your brush smaller. The right bracket key is going to make your brush bigger. If you don't see the circular area of your brush, you probably have your caps lock on. If I press on my caps lock, you'll see here on my keyboard, it turns your brush into crosshairs. So you always want to make sure that your caps lock is not on when you're using your brush tool. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want to make the hardness of your brush 0%. That is because, let me just show you with actually brushing here. When I have a soft brush, you can see when I stamped on the black, the area of the black gradually goes out. So that's going to make everything blend, and you're not going to get a blotchy edit. If I were to make my hardness of my brush 100%, you can see when I stamp, it makes a brush with a very hard edge. So you want to avoid that. So you always want to make sure that the hardness of your brush is at 0%. So when you see the actions talk about use a soft brush, that's what they mean. They mean a brush with a hardness of 0. So that is going to make the background white. You can see now we have a nice white background. We got rid of the color cast. And then the final thing that you could do just to make these beads sparkle a little bit more is to play the action called Sparkle and Shine. And so what this does is it's going to add a lot of contrast and a little bit of sharpness to the beads, and it really will make them pop out, as you can see here. And like I said, this one's a little fuzzy because it's not completely in focus. So, but even though it's not in focus, you can see that it's actually, it really makes a big difference. And then if any of the actions are too strong, if you play the action and then it's too strong of an effect, you can always reduce the opacity of the actions here in the layer panel. So if we play that Sparkle and Shine and it's a little bit too strong, maybe it's making the beads look a little bit, unreal or something, you can pull down the opacity and then it's going to be less of an effect on whatever action you were using. So I hope that helps with how you use the actions. And if you have any more questions, just let me know.